Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm on the set of The Red Debate with Chris. Chris, tell me a little bit more about The Red Debate.
So The Red Debate is a football fans podcast, specifically Liverpool Football Club, as you can probably see. We set it up about 6 months ago. Thought a podcast was probably the right platform for us. We promote it via... Well, we use Anchor to actually record it, but promote it via Twitter mainly.
And what sort of success have you seen so far? Because you've been pretty good, pretty rampant on the old socials.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, when you start something like a football podcast, you've already got the community in place for it to work quite well. So obviously Liverpool have a massive fan base around the world. So we've been able to tap into that quite nicely. And football fans in general tend to be quite passionate and like they want to engage with debate topics and so on. So the growth has actually been quite surprising for us, and it's by far the fastest growth I've had on any project that I've worked on before.
What do you think has sort of led to that growth? Because having watched some of the Red Debate's content, some of the stuff you're doing, especially on Twitter, you've really been putting out a lot of good content, engaging with everyone. So what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think that's probably been the key to the growth. We're pretty rampant on Twitter, to be fair. The nature of our podcast, so the way that we wanted to do things differently is rather than go for like a Liverpool news / match previews and reviews and so on, we'd go for debate topics, which also lends itself quite well to social platforms because you're constantly asking questions, like looking at trends and so on. So that community sort of conversational approach has worked really well for us, and Twitter has been massive for that.
What has been your most successful podcast / piece of content?
Strangely enough, it was a podcast we did about Daniel Sturridge.
Really?
Yeah, it's our most listened to podcast. We did it about 4 months ago, and it was about how this season could essentially offer him a chance of redemption at the club. It's strange. It's really strange. I didn't think it would be a particularly interesting podcast, but just so happens to be that we have found that when you do a specific player, so like ours was specifically about Daniel Sturridge, that has had the best audience figures. Yeah,
and what about on Twitter? What have you seen as the most engagement, the most views on there?
So we do quite a lot of Twitter threads, and they're by far our most engaged bit of content. So typically we write one of the blogs for our website, break it down into, say, 10 tweet threads, and then link to various things as and when we're talking about them. And that gets loads of engagement.
I think that's important for sort of all social media in general. Like, if you should be posting natively to the platform instead of trying to link people away. Apart from if you're doing a podcast when there's no way of sharing it from the platform, you need to leverage other social networks and other places. But actually posting that native content, doing Twitter threads, posting videos onto it, just talking about and starting conversations, because Twitter's a very conversational platform. And if you're just getting people to go away from Twitter, you're losing that conversation engagement that is really useful.
And I think we've seen that with the content that we actually do on our website. So Twitter, we were getting lots of followers and lots of engagement inside the platform, but very little website traffic. Whereas Facebook, which we've only had for maybe a month, we're getting lots of web traffic, but much less engagement. So it's quite interesting what you just said.
I think that's sort of truthful for all brands.
Yeah.
Like you're always going to get far more engagement if you're using the platforms the way they're meant to be used, instead of just sending people to your website or your blog. And I love what you're doing with the Twitter threads. I love everything you're doing with the Red Debate. I'm pleased you're starting to invest in video. Why is it you're starting to invest in video and recording the podcast?
That's a very good question. It's something we've been looking to do for a while now, to be fair. So our original aim was to use Anchor because it's really easy to just get some content out there, start the podcast. We've done about 30 to 40 podcasts now. But our overall aim was always to use YouTube as searchability, being the second biggest search engine out there. We needed to put something on YouTube. We've had a lot of people asking us, when are we going to do video? When are we going to upload to YouTube. So it was the natural progression step for us.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I wonder if you're able to sort of share any numbers with me, like, because obviously you've gone from 0 to 4,000 or 5,000 followers in the space of 6 months. How many people are actually listening to the podcast?
We get about 160 an episode, which isn't too bad. When we first started, we were looking at about 80, and then it tailed a little bit, which was natural because the season finished. So after May, in between June and like August time. But then, yeah, we've found consistency in how we're actually like getting the podcast out there. So the numbers are on their way back up. So we're averaging about 160.
That's good. And I think with podcasts in general, if you're capturing someone's attention for that amount of time, for 30, 40 minutes, then it's going to be much more effective than putting up a video or something else. Like if you put a video on Facebook and you get 1,000 views, you're not capturing someone's attention for a long time, and they might drop off. But when someone commits to listen to a podcast, they're usually listening to the majority of it. So you get less drop off.
It's a big ask, to be fair, isn't it? It's not like
huge.
Read a quick blog. We're asking people to invest between 25 minutes to 45 minutes of their time listening to us basically talk about
football,
what we're interested in. Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, definitely. Love what you're doing with the podcast. And Chris, you're coming on the Marketing Mashup podcast. You were on the very first episode with me. That was good. I've had a lot of good feedback about that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
People have been saying about all the different tools they're trying out.
How smart I am.
How smart you are, yeah. So you're coming on again. We're going to talk about Monzo. I'm excited for that. We're going to have loads to chat about Monzo. Monzo are wicked, aren't they?
Plenty to talk about Monzo.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much for watching this video, Chris. Thank you for coming on and doing a little teaser for me.
Pleasure.
I'll put the link to the Red Debate in the description, Marketing Mashup as well. If you did enjoy the video, leave it a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you tomorrow.